Hello, this is Victor at restoreyourmercedes.com. This video is for Oliver and Mark in Switzerland. Okay guys, so this is the harness that I finally finished. It's a 600 SL or SL600 wiring harness. Now the wires were I would say getting there. They were not really touching per se yet, but they were all cracked. So second you start moving them around, they would just fall off and touch. So obviously this was a good time to do this wiring harness. Now obviously all the wires are replaced. These are all new cables, pretty much all same color except for the main power cables. Each and every connector was double checked according to schematic diagrams, and I also do one wire at a time, so we'll have no chances of errors here. But at the end I still double check each and every connector to correspond to the proper pin on the main plug. The two connectors here are very similar. I mean, they're actually exactly the same, to be honest with you. So one of them goes to the temperature sensor for the fan, and this is the engine coolant temperature sensor for the computer. This is the camshaft advancer magnet, so I marked it here. You can remove the label once you connect it, because they're done the same as left and right. See, they're wrapped, whereas temperature sensor is inside its original sheeting. So this is just a quick reference. This is on the right hand side, passenger side in the US spec car, and this is the driver's side on US spec car. So you see I just labeled them both. Main connectors opened up for the coolant temperature. These are all original sleeves, as you can see. All original sleeves in the same length, so preserved exactly the same length as it was. Even this bent of wires was I tried to preserve it as much as I can, just to have it so when you lay the wires inside the vehicle it conforms to the shape conforms to the routing of the cable. All injector sleeves are also original in the same lengths as they are from the factory. You will be able to move them slightly if you need to, if you wish. There are some zip ties. If you want to trim them a little bit, you can cut them. As you can see, there is slight motion available, but this is basically where they are, so there's no need to move them and adjust them. Unless, let's say, you have some wires visible, you can pull up on the sleeve a little bit if you wish, like such, to cover them a little more. But this is exactly how factory has it done. So some of the wires are visible a little bit at the ends. Therefore, there are original seals that are also preserved. So all the connections are made soldering inside to the pin. I remove all these pins and I solder directly inside, and then I push them back in and put back original blue seals. These are rubber seals. None of them were damaged. All injectors, of course, checked out for numbering, like each and every cylinder, make sure it corresponds to the proper pin, and that is checked out. The wire is wrapped with cloth tape, as you can see it. The original accordion kind of rubber sheet, like kind of covering, I don't know how to say it, but this is basically what it is. This is also preserved, and I managed to cut this piece so I can at least preserve the top portion. Now the difference with the piece, what the problem with the piece rather, is the wires are molded inside, and then it's just molded around the cable. So when you start cutting it, it just disintegrates into pieces. This is the first one that I actually went to do with different techniques, so at least I can save the top portion of it. So when you put this harness back in the vehicle, you can cut zip ties if you want to. You can leave them, you can cut them, it doesn't matter, and you can still bolt it down to a little holder that holds this particular piece. And then when you put the Mercedes-Benz cover over here, it will line up, so it's gonna look as original as possible. Otherwise it would just look like this, just wrapped cables. But again, I cut it, I just made some indentations, clean up the area so wires fall in there fine, and the distance where it's supposed to overlap with the main holder is pretty much proper. So it just makes it look a little better, you know, once it's back in the vehicle. Again, there will be a covering, the Mercedes-Benz covering that goes over, so it's going to start right exactly here and cover all these wires. So once it's all installed, tightened up, you just can, you know, tighten up this piece to cover the wires so they look a little nicer. So for that very reason, I just wanted to really keep this piece. Most of the time they just break, but this one survived, which is good because it's made out of sort of a composite material. It's not plastic, it's sort of like carbon with plastic mixed together, so when you start drilling it, it becomes dust. It does not melt like plastic, it just becomes pretty much dust. I'm gonna just clean up these little areas here a little bit before mailing it. And so what else can I say about it? Basically, this is all. The main connector, nothing to really say about that. I had to cut it over here, so I put some, you know, tape, of course, just to keep it closed up. And all the wires were soldered directly to pins on the other side as well. So straight runs, all soldered, no breaks. These wires were wrapped and then soldered and then heat shrink wrapped over. So this is the marine grade heat shrink wrap with glue that seals the points. Alright, so basically this is basically all. So this harness is ready to go. Again, you can cut these zip ties once everything is installed. The harness is in the vehicle, all connected. If you don't want to see them, they're not gonna bother, or they're not gonna be in the way. Maybe this zip tie right here, because there is, I believe there's a fuel rail goes right around in this indentation. But again, I mean, you can check it on the while you install in the vehicle. This accordion style boot, you can turn it to conform to what exactly it has to be, but usually it just goes down and then it twists and it goes into the fake firewall opening, specifically cut for this grommet to go in, so wires are not damaged and cut through the second fireplace. Firewall, I'm sorry, second fireplace. Fake firewall. It's right before the main firewall, and then the main firewall is like further out, but this is like to separate the engine from the HVAC assembly. The HVAC coolant fan, heater fan sits in. So there's a firewall, this one goes through it, and then it runs alongside HVAC assembly, and then of course it connects to the plug, which is somewhere around here. So the firewall is sort of here, and then the wire runs along. There's going to be computers. Main computer box will be like in this area. Connector is right next to it. Just open it up. Of course, like you open it up and, you know, plug it back in. I'm going to ship it closed so it doesn't break. And that's about all. So this is the harness. The number, I believe, here it is, 129-540-7105. Might not be the actual part number for the harness, to be honest with you, because that is the number of the connector most likely, and it appears that the car is either 94 or 95 model year, because that's where the production dates are. Okay, so this is all. This is Victor at RestoringMercedes.com. This is the Mercedes V12 SL600 wiring harness, upper injector harness rewired. Thank you for watching.